The state of Israel spends a pretty penny to portray itself as a state to be feared, a state to be acknowledged as, one of global power. Damn near spend over $730 million into their propaganda arm amid reputational crisis. So not only has the Gaza war cost them in, military supplies, armaments, soldiers, all that stuff, they're also spending almost $1 billion on repairing their image worldwide. So that way when their citizens travel abroad, they don't get spit on and kicked out of every local cafe like they normally do because they act like fucking degenerates. But as per the Middle East Eye, Israel is preparing to spend nearly $750 million on its propaganda arm as it seeks to counter a worsening global image shaped by the genocide in Gaza and regional wars, according to its national budget passed in March. First reported by the Jerusalem Post, a total of $730 million has been allocated to the National Public Diplomacy Directorate, known by its Hebrew name Hasbara, which oversees Israeli propaganda. And you bet your sweet ass that there are plenty of politicians on both sides of the aisle that are getting a good chunk of some of that Hasbara money. The figure marks a sharp increase from the $150 million set aside from the previous year, which had already surged to roughly 20 times pre-2023 levels. So the year before, the limit was they set aside $150 million for Hasbara, which was already 20 times the year before that. This year's $730 million is, I don't even know how many times over, but significantly more times over increase on the global propaganda. The scale of the spending points to an intensified effort to improve Israel's international standing as negative perceptions grow, including in allied countries such as the United States. Israel has been widely accused of genocide in the Gaza Strip, where its forces have killed and injured more than 250,000 Palestinians since October 2023 and starved 2.3 million people. That's also not including, all the shit going on in Syria, in the West Bank, in Lebanon. The country has also been accused of creating an apartheid system in the occupied West Bank. Israel has additionally drawn criticism for belligerent acts in Syria, Lebanon, Qatar, and most recently the wars in Iran. Earlier this year, Israel faced intensifying scrutiny over links to convicted pedophile Jeffrey Epstein, who has been suspected of ties to Mossad. Israel has denied the accusations. Of course they fucking did. They denied the accusations with their connection to that pedophile, but their society has no problems with supporting the soldiers who are raping Palestinian prisoners, kidnapped Palestinians that are being illegally imprisoned in Israeli jails. Israeli society was like, yeah, those are our fucking heroes, but we want to distance ourselves from Jeffrey Epstein. Yeah, we fucking believe it. Meanwhile, Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu is wanted by the International Criminal Court for war crimes and crimes against humanity in Gaza, while Israel confronts genocide charges at the International Court of Justice. In the U.S., Israel's closest ally, Israel has been accused of drawing Washington into the war with Iran, which it definitely did, which triggered global economic disruption. They literally admitted to it. Trump officials have said that because Israel had signaled that they were going to attack Iran, that the U.S. was just like, we have no choice but to intervene and assist, because Israel was not, as you can see, Iran is able to deflect two powers at the same time. Israel cannot fight a war in Gaza, an invasion of Lebanon, bombing Syria, whatever the fuck they're doing in Qatar, and on top of that, fight by themselves in Iran. A Pew Research Center poll published in April found that 60% of Americans now view Israel unfavorably, a sharp rise over the past year, while favorable views have dropped to 37%. The shift cuts across political and religious lines. Among Republicans under 50, a majority now hold negative views of Israel. So that spans across most of the political spectrum. Most of Americans do not support continuing the status quo with the relationship with Israel. Support has fallen among Black Protestants, Catholics, and religiously unaffiliated. Even among American Jews, backing has slipped below 2/3. So while it is still in the majority for support of American Jews, it is not an overwhelming majority. creeping economic boycott. Along the budget increase, Israel's foreign ministry has expanded its messaging apparatus. Foreign Minister Gideon Sar has overseen the creation of a dedicated unit tasked with shaping international narratives. The government has committed tens of millions of dollars to digital campaigns, including a $50 million social media advertising push across major platforms. It has also spent across around $40 million hosting hundreds of foreign delegations, ranging from politicians and clergy to influencers and university leaders. And part of that 50 million includes, I don't know if you guys have ever seen that, it's like this Blue Spot ad. I don't know if that's the name of the organization, but it's sponsored by Patriots owner Robert Kraft. And it's that ad basically where like this Jewish kid is basically getting bullied in high school, and someone put a blue post-it note on his back saying "Go back home, Jew" or something like that. And they had a black kid be like, "Yeah, I got you, brother. I'm also from a group that gets historically, bullied and segregated and whatnot. I got you. I'll cover you with my blackness." And then covers the post-it note that was stuck to the back of the Jewish kid's back with a blue post-it note. And then that was supposed to like signify like, the rise in anti-Semitism and all this stuff. A lot of the increase in anti-Semitism is in regards to the actions taken by the government and the society in Israel. It doesn't have to do with a rising hatred in Jews. It is that the state of Israel ties its actions to Judaism, even though there's a clear distinction between that and Zionism. And that is part of the goal. Part of the goal is to tie Judaism back to Zionism, so that way Israel can always be needed. The concept of a Jewish safe haven can always be needed, because there's always going to be anti-Semitism because of the things that Israel does. It's just like a fucking self-replicating loop. A centralized media war room now tracks coverage across hundreds of outlets and monitors thousands of daily references to Israel, probably including tiny ass channels like mine. I'm not allowed on TikTok anymore, because a lot of the shit that I was posting, I was generating thousands of views on one thing, and then as soon as I would talk about Israel, nothing, or the post would get taken down, or the post would get reported. The campaign extends into political consulting and targeted outreach. The foreign ministry signed a $1.5 million a month deal with a firm linked to former Donald Trump strategist Brad Parscale to deploy artificial intelligence tools online, which I'm sure they're using to scrub thousands and thousands of posts that are critical of Israel, and creating portfolios to have and databases to have on stockpile, because soon they will make it illegal to criticize. I think they already did, maybe in the NSMP7, the shit that was the fucking, oh my god, I'm fucking having a stroke. NSMP7, am I saying that right? NSPM7, Jesus Christ, that's what I meant. The National Security Presidential Memorandum 7, which is a U.S. counterterrorism directive titled Countering Domestic Terrorism and Organized Political Violence. It directs federal agencies like the DOJ, FBI, Treasury, and IRS to aggressively investigate and disrupt the financial, organizational, and ideological networks behind domestic terrorism. Now, who or what is defined as domestic terrorism? That would include, and I feel like I covered this already before on this channel, but it doesn't hurt to rehash it. Where is it? Well, definitely here. There are common recurrent motivations and indicia uniting this pattern of violent and terroristic activities under the umbrella of self-described anti-fascism. These movements portray foundational American principles, e.g. support for law enforcement and border control, as fascist to justify and encourage acts of violent revolution. This anti-fascist lie has become the organizing rallying cry used by domestic terrorists to wage a violent assault against democratic institutions, constitutional rights, and fundamental American liberties. Common threads animating this violence include anti-Americanism, anti-capitalism, and anti-Christianity, support for the overthrow of the United States government, which, funny enough, Trump wants to create a $1.7 billion slush fund for people who attempted to overthrow the fucking government on January 6th, but whatever. Extremism on migration, race, and gender, and hostility towards those who hold traditional American views on religion, family, and morality. I also thought they mentioned something about Zionism. No, okay. I thought something was in here about Zionism, but soon I wouldn't be surprised if by the end of Trump's term he doesn't try and make criticism of Israel illegal as well. Additional funds have been directed towards evangelical networks, influencer campaigns that are run through private PR firms. So yes, Israel spends a considerable amount of money trying to scrub clean its image across media, across news outlets, across anywhere people are getting sources of information, which is why you should always try and get your news from many different sources. Try to get it from, I would say your political perspective, but also take a peek into what outlets on the other side are portraying the same news that you're consuming, so you can see what the counter arguments are and understand where other people are coming from if you're trying to have public discourse. But you should also delve into more independent creators like myself. So if you like the video so far, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe. And after we're done here, please check out more videos on the channel. But anyway, I digress. Israel spends a pretty penny, $730 million on propaganda to do dumb shit like this. Israel and the United States planned to install Ahmadinejad as Iranian leader, New York Times says. Mahmoud Ahmadinejad was being lined up by the United States and Israel and in Iran, and similarly to Rodriguez after Maduro in Venezuela. The United States and Israel... Hold on, wait, I gotta set the other thing. Second. There we go. The United States and Israel went into the war on Iran intending to replace the regime's leadership with hardline former President Mahmoud Ahmadinejad, the New York Times reported. Quoting U.S. officials who were briefed on the audacious plan, the newspaper said things quickly went awry and Ahmadinejad's current whereabouts and condition are unknown. After the killing of Ayatollah Ali Khamenei, U.S. President Donald Trump mused that it would be best if, quote, someone from within Iran took over the country, the Times reported. To say that, let me highlight this. To say that Mr. Ahmadinejad was an unusual choice would be a vast understatement, the newspaper said. While he increasingly clashed with the regime's leaders and had been placed under close watch by the Iranian authorities, he was known during his term as president from 2005 to 2013 for his calls to, quote, wipe Israel off the map. Based. He was a strong supporter of Iran's nuclear program, also based. A fierce critic of the United States, triple based. And known for violently cracking down on internal dissent, not so based. The newspaper noted, however, that in a 2019 interview, Ahmadinejad praised President Trump and argued for a rapprochement between Iran and the United States. Mr. Trump is a man of action, Ahmadinejad was quoted as saying. He is a businessman and therefore he is capable of calculating cost benefits and making a decision. We say to him, let's calculate the strong cost benefit of our two nations and not be short-sighted. The Times said Trump was relishing the success of the Special Forces raid that kidnapped Venezuelan leader Nicolas Maduro and the willingness of his interim replacement, Delcy Rodriguez, to work with the White House and believed the same model could be replicated in Iran, which is why a couple weeks ago when they were reporting the, I think the helicopter crash or pilot plane that fucking they had to go rescue, that wasn't a fucking pilot rescue. That was a failed fucking operation that they used as a cover to try and I think it was either bomb or directly invade one of the nuclear sites in Iran. Don't believe me? Look it up. A jailbreak operation. However, this is where shit gets funny. Again, going back, Israel spends $700 million in propaganda saying we're a big good country. We are the #1 democracy in the world. Most moral army. However, the U.S.-Israeli plan with which Ahmadinejad had been consulted about quickly went awry, according to U.S. officials who spoke to the Times. Ahmadinejad was reportedly wounded on the first day of the war by an Israeli strike on his home in Tehran, which was intended to free him from house arrest, American officials told the Times. Ahmadinejad survived the strike, they said, but after the near miss, he changed his mind about the regime change plan, and he has not been located since. These fucking dumbasses almost killed the guy that they were looking to install when they thought they were going to successfully wipe out the entire Iranian regime structure. They thought they were going to kill the Ayatollah, that the Iranians were going to be scrambled, and that they were going to be able to install Ahmadinejad in the clusterfuck. And in the clusterfuck, they actually almost killed their guy, and now he's too scared to actually keep going through with the plan. Great fucking job, guys. An article in The Atlantic in March said the attack on his house was in fact a jailbreak operation, citing anonymous associates of Ahmadinejad. After that article, the Times said it received confirmation from an associate of Ahmadinejad, Jesus Christ, my fucking tongue hurts from saying that so many times, that he recognized, they can't just say former president or some shit. The Times said it received confirmation from an associate of the former president that he recognized the airstrike was an attempt to free him. The associate said that the Americans believed Ahmadinejad could lead the country and had the ability to manage Iran's political, social, and military situation. But although Ahmadinejad was able to escape house arrest despite his injuries, the newspaper said he became disillusioned with the regime change plan and stopped cooperating. Ahmadinejad, who was president from 2003 to 2013, became increasingly at odds with Supreme Leader Ayatollah Ali Khamenei. Ahmadinejad has clashed with regime leaders, accusing them of corruption, and rumors have swirled about his loyalties, the Times said. He was disqualified from numerous presidential elections, his aides were arrested, and Mr. Ahmadinejad's movements were increasingly restricted to his home. People close to him have been accused of having too close ties to the West or even spying for Israel. That's the guy that they wanted to install, a Israel-friendly, US-friendly leader that they almost bombed. So, yeah, remember all the money that we give to Israel, some of it actually went to this fucking great operation that we tried to conduct. And, yeah, so the reason why, shit is fucked up, people can't afford groceries, this, that, and the third. People have been saying it over and over again, but I think it is worth saying again. Gas prices going up, and grocery prices through the roof, and no really any government assistance and anything for trying to be a first-time home buyer or even trying to start a family, this, that, and the third. All this shit can be tied back to the fuckery that's going on between the United States and Israel. But anyway, if you liked the video again, please give it a thumbs up, like, comment, and subscribe, and I will see y'all next time. Y'all be good.